Hey guys, Paul here. Hope everybody is looking forward to having a good holiday. Merry Christmas in case I don't get a chance to tell you, and Happy New Year. So I haven't done an update in a while, and there's a few issues with that. Actually, most of the time I was trying to show you guys like the finished version of what I've been working on. Unfortunately, things aren't quite finished, but I've decided to make a video anyway, not to keep you guys in the dark. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of new things. Um, Very excited about them. Actually, one of the problems of creating videos kind of after they've done, kind of waiting, one of the problems is might not sound as excited as I would have been if I made the video a few weeks ago when some of these things popped in. So hopefully you guys will be able to tell I'm very excited. So if you look, the GUI, the graphical user interface, has been given a facelift. So this GUI is intended to just be for these basic functionalities like key mapping, load, save, options screen, like tweaking how loud you want the sound to be, or the gameplay video options, things like that. So this is sort of the facelift to that blue GUI, which wasn't bad, but it just didn't really fit too much, and everybody else has blue, so this is sort of the more classier version, I think, or maybe a little better, maybe more mature. Either way, I'm very excited about it. I liked it very much. So to reiterate, this is a facelift to the GUI. Now what happens in Void Destroyer is, because I try to reuse everything, this GUI has been applied to other things that in the future won't be applied anymore. For example, in tactical mode, this GUI also exists right now, but eventually tactical mode is going to be changed with its own GUI. So let's look at another thing. I'm just going to create a single ship here in the battle editor. As you can see, it's got the new GUI. Create a bunch of asteroids just for fun here, right? And hit play. So what you're going to see next is the new HUD. So this is the new HUD, and it's not finished yet because you got these old little remnants of my old buttons here, actually my art here, and the old radar screen. But other elements of it are nearly completed. So we have the ammo bar here, we have the secondary weapon bar here, we have our orientation bar here, we have thrusters here, afterburner, forward and reverse thrust, and this is the smart thrust GUI right here in the center, telling you whether your engines are going to compensate or not. So again, this HUD is not finished. You got some more old remnants here and some other aspects. This HUD is not finished. However, it's to the point where you hopefully get the general idea what it's going to look like in its finished form. So let's talk about this a little bit, because I'm pretty excited about this HUD because it's not blue. Okay, so a lot of space sims have these blue hollow HUDs. Void Destroyer tries to be different, tries to be unique. So our HUD is gray. It's gray with splashes of red. So it's kind of influenced by the Iron Man aesthetic or Oblivion, those new movies where it's sort of ultra modern. A lot of space sims, a lot of games in general go with this blue hollow look. However, Void Destroyer tries not to be like everybody else. So we are going to go with sort of this muted minimalistic style that I hope you guys are going to really love, because I'm very excited about it. I think it looks really cool. So next I'm going to show you guys the new HUD in action. I'm going to start an instant action scenario here. Other aspects that have been changed are what you're going to see in a second. Well, there you go. Those are the speed lines when I hit the afterburner. these speed lines show up just to give you this little cool feedback of when using the afterburner. The other thing you might notice is when the ship gets hit, there is this camera shake. And also you can see on the HUD these damage direction markers here. So now you have a lot more feedback as to where the damage is coming from, and when you're getting hit, things like that. And because of the camera shake, things are not quite as static as they were before. You know, before this was kind of sort of boring, but now I think there's a bunch of these little finishing touches that we still have a little bit ways to go, but there's a bunch of little finishing touches that should make the experience a lot better. And I died. So we're back in our little instance scenario that I just created a moment ago, before that little bit of combat. And I want to talk about something else that you guys might have picked up on already, another change to the visuals of Void Destroyer. I'm going to turn off the HUD. And if you notice, you might have to go full screen on this to notice this, but there is this outline effect on these objects. So there's a distant little tiny asteroid there, and there's an outline effect around it, around there. And even if you look on the player's ship, there is an outline effect there as well. So what's going on here, right? So Void Destroyer's art style is this sort of less than realistic, cartoony sort of a style, you know, trying to be different from all these other space sims. What we're trying to do is we're trying to sort of compete by not competing. We're trying to compete by being different. So this sort of less than photorealistic art style in terms of texturing has been further enhanced by doing this outline shader. I'm going to toggle the effect on and off, and you can just kind of see what's going on here. There's a little more to it than just the outline. The colors get slightly shifted. Some of them become brighter, some of them become darker, and you could almost say that the effect is a little subtle, because you don't want to go too far in this effect, because if you go too far, everything becomes really, really dark really fast. But this sort of takes away sort of the shininess of the game, makes things a little more cartoony, and I think a lot more unique. So I'm hoping that you guys are going to get really excited about how this ends up looking, you know, very unique. And I want to mention that this effect is optional, so you can turn this off in the options menu, because I know that not everybody likes this effect. However, I hope most of you guys like it. I hope that it further distinguishes Void Destroyer from other games. But again, I'm not going to force it on people, or if a modder wants to create a game that's or a world or a mod or total conversion that doesn't fit with this art style, doesn't fit with the outline shader, then they can certainly just turn it off. And it actually comes in a few different flavors. So here's our options menu, and you can go into tune and outline, and you can go to outline only. So let's toggle this. So when we're in outline only, the inner portions aren't as changed, and the outline is a little enhanced, because actually we can make a bigger outline because the inner portions aren't affected. When the inner portions are affected with bigger outline, they become too dark. So you have this option of going tune effect and outline, or just outline, depending how you want to go. So that's certainly up to you. There's a slight shift, you might not be able to tell. You can tell based on different ships, different distances, the effect gets kind of changed based on distance. Just because we had to tweak it, you know, too far away, things could be too dark if we had too much of a inner shading, and then too close, things might not get shaded enough. So we kind of certainly had to tweak this effect a bunch. So I jumped into another ship to show you guys the effect on another ship, and This is one of our rock guys ship, as I like to call them. When I toggle the effect, you can see that the yellows look brighter, that the grays might look a little darker, that the asteroid is more rock-like maybe. You can see this other effect in the other ship in the background there, getting its effect of this new shader. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this effect. I certainly do. Again, it's one of those things that is going to make Void Destroyer more unique than other games. Every game out there is sort of competing to be the most realistic space sim out there. I shouldn't say every, but a lot, you know. And Void Destroyer can't really compete on that. And again, we're not going to. We're going to compete by being different. So we're essentially sidestepping everybody and saying, hey, we don't give a damn about your photorealism. We're going to look awesome. You know, we're going to be we're going to be a lot more fun. You know, we don't really have to worry about things looking realistic because that's not the end, you know, that's not the end result that everybody should be chasing. Certainly some people should be chasing. Some people do a really great job. But in Void Destroyer, we don't need to we don't really need to try to be like everybody else. You know, we can do unique things. We can be our own game. And this outline effect has a lot of cool little side benefits. Right now I have the outline effect turned off. And in front of you, you see a bunch of little platforms. They're actually mine-laying platforms. You'll see them in the game as you play. And they laid a bunch of mines. So there's a bunch of mines ahead of this ship, right? Can you see them? If you're in full screen, you might be able to see them, these little yellow dots in front of the screen. But when we toggle the effect on, there we go. Now we see these mines. And when we get closer and closer to the minefield, we begin to see more of them. So this outline effect has this really cool potential for highlighting some of these unique features of Void Destroyer and sort of enhancing the gameplay in sort of unexpected ways, you know, because when you just have a bunch of mines, they're really cool, but when you have a bunch of little mines and you throw little outlines on them, and then the player sees this minefield is going towards it, I think that's much better. So there's these little unexpected features here, little unexpected side benefits to having an outline shader. Because in Void Destroyer, you know, I don't really want certain things that I've worked on to be sneaky. You know, like mines, for example. Mines are supposed to be more of a deterrent rather than a sneak up on you and blow you up type of a thing. You know, I want the player to see them, to prepare for them, to counteract them. So I think this outline effect has these really cool side benefits of certain smaller objects being highlighted. You know, I mean, you kind of get the scope of the minefields in Void Destroyer with this outline effect, whereas if I turn it off, it's not quite as dramatic. You know, and that's what we're going for. We're going for drama. You know, as much as we can afford it, we're going to try to give you guys your money's worth. All these players that hopefully will be enjoying the game. We're trying to get them money's worth, a unique experience. And that's part of the outline shader. And I'm just going to highlight the effect a little more. Here we are in one of the sectors of the game. I'm going to toggle the effect, the outline effect, on and off. And I think this just highlights the cool little features about it. You know, our models are sort of straddling this line of detail and not detail, and if you toggle the effect, you see some of the cool little features of them, you know, that you would normally not see unless you got kind of too close to them. So I hope you guys enjoy this this outline effect, how this little change makes the game sort of pop out, these models pop out, make them look all that much unique than before. You know, like as soon as this effect kind of got polished from the effects programmer, I got really excited because the game really started looking like what I imagined that the game would look like all those years ago. You know, this texture quality is sort of this first step towards this outline effect, and it sort of works together, in my opinion. You know, and again, it's unique. Nobody else really has this. It kind of, I'm sure it's going to remind people of Borderlands, which is a game I really enjoy. You know, actually, I should say that I really like this effect personally. So maybe I'm biased, but again, I hope you guys like it too. So I talked about how the new GUI got kicked over into tactical mode, I believe. So here's the new GUI in tactical mode. Just want to highlight it. It replaced that blue GUI you saw before. Things look a little bit more serious now. Maybe dramatically different to some of you. I think it's kind of dramatically different, even though it's just a pretty simple facelift. But this is going to be the sort of intermediate GUI until we get a really finalized dedicated screen for tactical mode, which I hope is going to be sooner rather than later. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is some balance changes. So previously, this ship right here, the Perez, was a Corvette class ship, and I had a bunch of other ships made with, you know, with you guys' help, with the helps from Kickstarter funds, and some of them ended up looking too much like fighters, but technically their classes were Corvettes. So what I thought to myself, you know what, I don't really like the scale of some of these ships, and so I decided to make the Perez a fighter class ship and make this ship here, the Raider, a Corvette class ship, and then keep this Korea a frigate. So basically the end result is that certain ships kind of got bumped down. The Perez is no longer a Corvette, it's a fighter now. The previous fighters became fighter drones, unmanned fighters. So really the net result is that there's another slot for ships. So certain ships might become more useful, or at least not as superseded by other ships. For example, there is an Intrepid class Corvette now that used to be a frigate, and compared to this Korea, it wasn't as powerful. You would almost always choose the Korea, but now that that ship is a Corvette, it has its own slot. You know, we kind of made room for it, so it's not going to be as overlooked. And what I also did, another change, is make the formerly Corvette ships, this, for example, this ship right here, I made this ship more maneuverable and faster. So usually you would be like in this ship dogfighting, you know, in this previously Corvette class ship. Now it's a fighter, it's more maneuverable, it's faster, and I think that's going to give you guys a little improved gameplay. And I hope you guys enjoy that. Hope that the balance of the game is better. Hope that some of these ships are not going to be as how do I want to say it? The balance is going to be improved, where this ship is not the same class as this ship. You know, this guy, this yellow ship, is a Corvette, and this ship is a frigate. So they're not really competing directly against each other, and this way they don't have to be as strong as each other. It's okay for this ship to be stronger. However, this ship is more maneuverable, and you can almost dogfight in it. Not quite, but almost. Leading to more interesting gameplay, where you have a ship that's lighter, slightly lighter, but still sort of a capital class ship. So there's a little more variety, I hope, through this change. So another effect that has come into play is the sort of damage effects. So in the game, you know, the player is inside the wardroom. The player's character is inside the wardroom, right? But the player can control other ships. For example, right now I'm in this cruiser here, and I'm shooting torpedoes at the wardroom here. So I'm in this cruiser shooting the torpedoes at the wardroom here. Of course, you would not want to do this in the game. And when the wardroom takes damage, you can see this new effect, these sort of damage blips, right? So it's important for the player to know when the wardroom is getting hit, because that's where the player is, right? Even though the player might be remotely controlling another ship. So this is another effect from the effects programmer, thanks to your Kickstarter funds, that I hope is going to really enhance your gameplay. And of course, this effect also shows up in tactical mode. Just wait for those torpedoes to hit. There we go. You see the little blips here, sort of like water puddles. So hopefully, you know, you as the player are going to feel this effect of being in the wardroom. I'm going to try to really enhance that effect, push it as much as I can to increase your immersion in the game. And again, thanks to your Kickstarter funds, thanks to your support, all these cool little things are possible, much more possible, much more accessible than they would have been. So thank you very much again, thank you. So let's take a look at our hours played here in our Steam interface here. 75 hours total since a few months ago when I got this game hooked into Steam. 20 hours about the past 2 weeks. Again, this is 20 hours of me just in the game, not so much working on the game, but just in the game testing, you know. So I'll spend majority of the time working on it, do a few minutes of testing back and forth. So yeah, there's a lot of time invested in here from me, right? So let's talk about Steam, right? So the goal is to go on early access. The goal is to get this version to you guys hopefully very soon, so you guys can enjoy it, and so the game can, you know, get its chance at early access, chance to compete against other projects, more notoriety, more media coverage now that it actually might be for sale. So the goal is to release an early access version very early in the beginning of the next year. So hopefully within the first few weeks of January. That's my goal. Whether I'm going to hit that, that's another guess, but I'm really going to try to hit that. So right now I'm doing the finishing touches on these little aspects just to get it as ready as I can. Then I'm going to put out like this private test of the Steam version to the beta backers, and then once early access starts, we'll kick this version off to you guys and then open it up for sale and then go from there. So what's going to be in the early access version is about maybe 1/3 to 1/4 of the game. But what I've been doing lately is trying to do a lot more polish on the early game. So what's been going on before, the game kind of splintered off the demo. I'm going to kind of toss that thinking aside, and that's going to allow me to really enhance the early gameplay. So the early gameplay was kind of limited because it was the demo, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to give too much away, I don't want to make it too hard, I don't want to make it too complicated. However, now that the two are going to be separate, I can work on this map to create some cool new features. There's going to be some little more back and forth, a little more danger, a little more opportunity to grab some loot, things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy the upcoming release. I hope I stay on schedule as much as possible. And again, I hope you guys have a good Christmas, good holiday, good New Year. Thank you for supporting the project, and I'll talk to you guys later.